She was just asking for ketchup, until his daughter pointed to the waitress and whispered, "Why is that lady wearing Mom's necklace?" In that moment, everything around him stopped. Because the necklace? It was one of a kind, and it was buried with his wife. Daniel Reed had taken his daughter Lily out for a quiet dinner. It was their first time back at a restaurant since his wife passed away nearly 2 years ago. He had finally worked up the strength to try normal again, even if normal still felt wrong without her at the table. The place was small, nothing fancy. Just a warm, local diner with checkered floors and the smell of grilled cheese in the air. They sat by the window, Lily sipping her orange juice while coloring on the kids' menu. And then the waitress came over. Young, polite, kind-eyed. Her apron was slightly wrinkled, but her voice had that softness that reminded him of her. As the woman leaned over to place their plates, Lily suddenly looked up, squinted, and asked in that innocent, curious voice only a child could have, "Daddy, why is that waitress wearing Mommy's necklace?" Daniel froze mid-bite. He turned his head slowly. The waitress smiled, unaware of the storm she'd just triggered, and walked back toward the counter. But Daniel's eyes were locked on one thing: a delicate gold chain with a tiny, hand-carved locket. A locket he had custom-made for his wife. One that was buried with her. It couldn't be. It shouldn't be. And yet, it was right there, hanging from a stranger's neck. Daniel's heart pounded so loud he could barely hear the clatter of dishes or the low hum of the diner. He stood slowly, careful not to startle Lily, and whispered, "Sweetheart, stay here. I'll be right back." She nodded, still curious, her eyes following the waitress as she disappeared through a swinging door into the back. Daniel made his way to the counter, trying to steady his voice. "Excuse me," he said to the older man at the register. "The waitress who was just serving us. What's her name?" The man looked up. "Oh, that's Emma, sweet girl. Started about 3 weeks ago, hard worker." Daniel nodded slowly. "Could you tell her I'd like to speak with her? Just for a minute?" The man narrowed his eyes slightly but called out, "Emma?" "Customer at table 3 wants a word." Moments later she returned, wiping her hands on her apron, a little nervous. "Is everything all right with the food, sir?" she asked politely. Daniel tried to find the words. "Sorry, this is going to sound strange, but that necklace you're wearing, where did you get it?" Emma instinctively touched it, her fingers curling protectively around the locket. "This, it was in a box of things I bought at a thrift store, a tiny jewelry box. I almost didn't notice it." Daniel's throat tightened. "Do you mind if I see it, just for a moment?" She hesitated, but something in his eyes made her slowly unclip the chain and place it in his open hand. As soon as it touched his skin, memories hit like a tidal wave. His wife's laugh, her warmth, her voice whispering to Lily at bedtime. And then, the back of the locket. He turned it over. There it was, engraved in tiny cursive letters. "Forever comes in quiet moments." Dr. Daniel's initials. His words. His world tilted. He looked up at Emma, whose expression had shifted from confusion to concern. "I don't understand," she said softly. "Is this yours?" He swallowed hard. "It was my wife's. She was buried with it." Emma's eyes widened in horror. I swear I didn't know. I bought the box at a second-hand shop near Maple Road. It was just sitting on a dusty shelf. I had no idea it belonged to someone." Daniel stepped back, his mind racing. How did it end up there? And why did this stranger have her necklace? Emma's face had turned pale, her hands trembling. "I swear I didn't mean any harm," she said quickly. "I just thought it was forgotten. Left behind. I'm so sorry." Daniel nodded slowly, still staring at the locket like it might vanish if he blinked. You said you got it from a thrift shop on Maple Road? Yes, about 3 weeks ago. That date hit him like a cold slap. 3 weeks ago was the same time he had finally moved out of their old house. After months of trying to hold on, he'd donated several boxes, clothes, books, random items from the attic, to a nearby charity store. His late wife's jewelry box wasn't supposed to be among them. It must have gotten mixed in. The realization hit hard. He had unknowingly let go of something he thought had been laid to rest with her. Emma looked at him, still clutching her apron. Would you like to keep it? He opened his mouth to say yes. But then he saw the way she looked at the locket. Not with greed, not even attachment, but something softer. Like it gave her comfort. Like it had meant something. Why did you wear it? He asked, genuinely curious. Emma's eyes lowered. It felt like hope. I don't know. I've been alone for a while. Moved here after my mom passed. Things haven't been easy. But when I found the locket, I started wearing it. It just felt safe. Daniel's throat tightened again. She had no idea the energy she was feeling belonged to someone who used to be his entire world. And yet, maybe, just maybe, the necklace found her for a reason. He looked at the locket in his hand, then back at her. You keep it, he said quietly. Emma blinked, stunned. What? It found you, he said, and somehow, I think maybe it was meant to. Maybe she, my wife, wanted it that way. Emma's eyes filled. Are you sure? He smiled sadly. Yeah, I think she'd like knowing it's still close to someone who needed it. Just then, Lily peeked around the corner. Daddy, is everything okay? Daniel turned and nodded. Everything's okay, sweetheart. Then he looked back at Emma. Thank you for taking care of something I didn't realize I had lost. Emma wiped her eyes. Thank you for trusting me with it. As Daniel took Lily's hand and walked back toward their table, something in his chest felt lighter. The pain was still there, but so was peace. Because maybe some things we think are gone find their way back, not to us, but to where they're needed most. As Daniel helped Lily into her seat, he glanced back one last time. Emma was still standing near the counter, her hand resting over the locket, now hanging gently around her neck again. She didn't smile. She didn't wave. But their eyes met, and that was enough. Lily leaned in, whispering, Was that really Mommy's necklace? Daniel nodded slowly. Yes, it was. She furrowed her little brow. But why did you let her keep it? He thought for a moment, then looked into his daughter's eyes. Because sometimes, he said gently, the things we lose find their way to someone else who needs them just as much. Lily looked toward Emma, curious. Do you think Mommy sent it to her? Daniel paused. I think maybe Mommy wanted us to remember that love doesn't disappear. It just changes where it lives. Lily smiled faintly and reached across the table, taking his hand. The rest of their meal was quiet, but peaceful. The kind of quiet that feels like something has settled. Not everything was answered, not everything healed, but something had shifted, softened. As they left the diner, Daniel held the door for Lily and glanced up at the overcast sky. For the first time in a long while, he didn't feel so heavy. Because somewhere, in the most unexpected way, a little piece of her had come back. Not to stay, but to remind him that she was still watching, still reaching, still finding ways to show up, exactly when they needed her most. Sometimes the heart doesn't need closure, just a moment to feel connected again. If this story found its way to you, Maybe it's a sign someone up there hasn't forgotten. Share it forward.